Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Diary of an Inner Fat Girl. Today we're cooking one of my favorite meals because it reminds me of British boarding school. Shout out to anyone that went to British boarding school. I went to boarding school in Bath, and I also went to boarding school in Hertfordshire. So we are making bangers and mash. And for people who don't know what that means, we're making sausage with mashed potatoes. It's a British classic. I love it, and it's really easy to make. So today, instead of using potatoes, we're gonna be using cauliflower, and we're gonna be having it with chicken sausage. This is one of my go-to meals when I'm just coming home and I just wanna eat something quickly. So I just wanna introduce you to this meal. So I've already gone ahead and started boiling the cauliflower because it takes a little bit longer to cook. So I used about a quarter of a cauliflower. I didn't even use that much because that's how much is okay for a serving size. We've got some water just in case, and I'll explain to you why we've got that later. We then have our ginger, okay? And we have our onions. We have our cheese. We have our coconut cream and coconut milk mixed together. And obviously we just have cauliflower. So basically what I boiled was about this much, okay? So that's about a quarter of a cauliflower. So, you know, as you start using cauliflower more, you'll learn to measure it out. Initially, when I first started using cauliflower, I would use the whole thing and then I would have too much food. But you figure things like that out over a period of time. And then finally, we've got our chicken sausage. Now, the ingredients that I'm going to be using today, they're pretty much the same as usual. We have our salt and our pepper, okay? We've got some psyllium husk. We've got teriyaki and soy sauce replacement, like mixed. And then I've got my little spicy mix of chipotle, salt and pepper, Cameroon pepper, sea salt. It's just like a little kind of my own Maggi that I've made, and it tastes delicious. Okay, so we're gonna get started. So we've got our cauliflower nice and soft. So I want you to just look. You should be able to break it up with your spoon at this point. That's how soft I want your cauliflower to be when it's time to go into your food processor. You can either use a food processor or you can use a blender, or some people mash it with their hand. It just really depends on what's available to you. So I'm actually gonna use my strainer spoon to drain out the water because you don't want it affecting your mashed potatoes later. So, alrighty. So now we're gonna add some salt, some pepper. Some people add some coconut butter, but I'm just gonna add some coconut cream and milk mixed because I want it to be creamy mashed potatoes. And that's it. So we're gonna put our lid back on. Okay, so it's nice and whipped. Can you see how nice and creamy that looks? Okay, so we are now left with our beautiful creamy, which I just want to show you, our beautiful creamy cauliflower. So here goes nothing, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and add the cauliflower into a pot. So I'm gonna use a spoon because right now what we're doing is we're just leaving it on the fire, and I'm gonna get my psyllium husk. I'm gonna add maybe half a teaspoon, so have a look. And with psyllium husk, it's something you need to add gradually because as it cooks, as it heats up, it thickens the food, so you don't want it to get too thick too quickly. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna sprinkle, okay? So I've not even finished it, okay? And you're gonna mix. And you're gonna mix it in until you can't see it anymore. Then you need to leave it to kind of boil a little bit. And while it's boiling, start adding your cheese. So I like adding cheese. Some people don't add cheese, but I like adding cheese. So anyway, now we've added our cheese. And that's going to be mixed in and it's going to start melting. And we've got it on low heat because we don't want anything to burn. And then you just start lightly mixing. There's been times I've made this in a rush and it ends up being very jelly-like. So one has to be very careful. You don't want to have it on the fire for too long. And at the same time, you don't want to not take care of it. I'm just going to add a little more cheese. But as you can see, I've been pretty conservative with it because, as I said, cheese is a high-fat food. So we have to be careful, even if you're on keto. Still measure it out at least. Okay, so yep, now our cheesy potatoes are looking delicious. And if you look closely, it's got the potato consistency. See the mashed potato thickness? Oh yeah. So that's looking good. Yeah, perfect. So I'm gonna sit that there, and that's actually gonna set on its own as well. So we're gonna move on to making our bangers. So our coconut oil is heated, and I'm gonna go ahead and add just a smidge, just a touch of ginger. It's just because we had some. It's not because we really need any. I'm gonna reduce the heat all the way down. It's even too hot. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add our onions. I use lots of onions because I love onions and sausages, but that's just me. So we're gonna let that sit and saute, and once that's done, we'll be right back. All right, guys, so we're back. So now we've got our onions sauteing with the ginger, and I see that it's starting to soften up and it's starting to brown a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the seasonings in. So as I said earlier, this is my mixture of my seasonings. So you can say it's my own version of my own Maggi, but at least it's broken down and I can control what's in it, and it doesn't have sugar and it doesn't have food coloring in it, which is why I love it so much. Okay, so put that. Okay. And then I've got my mixture of the teriyaki sauce and the soy sauce. So now that the onions are kind of taking off the way that I want it and the flavors are getting started, I'm actually going to just move the onions to one side. Before I put my sausages in, one of the things that I do to ensure that it cooks all the way through is that I like to put my fingers through the fork on all sides. So that makes it cook faster, and that way you can make sure it's everything like flavors and stuff will get in as well. So that one's been done, and we're just gonna put that straight onto the pan while I start the next one. Okay, so we've punctured something in there. So we're gonna leave these sausages on the side to saute and let them cook before we blend them in. Okay, so you can see that the onions are cooking great and you can see the sausage is cooking great. But I actually wanted it to have a little bit of a gravy or a sauce to go over my mashed potatoes. So I'm gonna show you how to put together something quick. So what I did was I just got some water once again, and I'm putting in my little Maggi mixture. Okay. And this is a way to, give food like a flavor, a sauce, without having to necessarily have the calories of a condiment. And what I mean by condiment is like maybe instead of using ketchup or something, because I would usually use ketchup back in the day, but I just started to realize ketchup is full of sugar. So I put the rest of my soy sauce in there. And for those who might ask, it's equivalent to about 2.5 tablespoons in total for the recipe. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put a little bit of the water in because I just wanna create a sauce. I don't wanna put too much in. I just want it to thicken into a sauce. Okay, so now you can see after adding a little bit of that marinade, it's created the perfect sauce. So I've just tasted it, and I can see that it just needs a smidge, like, of salt. Remember I told you add salt at the end. So now let's go ahead and plate. So we've got our mashed potatoes. Just to put this in front of the camera, I'm gonna get all my mashed my mashed cauliflower. So now we can turn that off and we're gonna present our bangers. Oh good, I have a fork so I can lay it out nicely. And I really enjoy my presentation of my food because I feel like it makes me enjoy it more. And then we're just going to take our sauce. Did you get the sauce? Okay. And we're just gonna put it over. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is delicious. Can you see our beautiful caramelized onions that are going over our mash? And look at that. That is a beauty and that is delicious. And have you noticed that even though the food is a decent amount, we're using a nice small plate? And that's because that's all you need. And so I've started using plates about this size when I want to eat. So that's just a tip for you to consider when it's time for you to make your meals. So it's time for my favorite part. It's time to test the food. So you guys, we're back with our finished product and OMG, doesn't that cauliflower mash and bangers look amazing? I can't wait to taste it. So you guys ready? My favorite part. I always like getting the caramelized onions and then getting some of the mash as well. You guys, I can't even begin to tell you how good this tastes. Let's take a little bit more. And once you start to eat on these smaller plates, you begin to realize that you actually just have been overeating. It's not that you're not full. Because trust me, this is more than enough for you to eat. So this is our bangers and mash. I hope you really enjoyed it. I hope you get out there and experiment and try other healthy alternatives for you. If you have any questions, please DM us on Instagram. We do try to reply as many as possible. Also, please follow us on Instagram, follow us on Snapchat, subscribe to our channel, and please just keep on sending us more recipes, keep on encouraging us. Let's work together. Let's work on making ourselves as healthy as possible. And please remember, your body is a temple of God. You only have one. So please take care of it. Okay, take care, guys. Bye.